Right, let's just dive into that a bit more then ahead of Tuchel's first game. Nick is back here to go through it with us. Plenty of talk and scrutiny around the squad. Obviously, it's the first squad that he's picked as the England manager. Jordan Henderson, for example, brought back in. Has he gone for experience primarily, would you say?
Well, I think he has. Henderson coming back in, of course. Walker, there's a real core of players with a lot of caps, a lot of experience in that group. And we've done some digging around this group, and we found that Tuchel could actually name the youngest, or not the youngest, but the most experienced
we'll get on to
England
the other one
starting lineup. Indeed, I'm jumping the gun. The most experienced starting lineup in England's history in these games coming up. So here we have the current most experienced England lineups in the country's history, and you can see the current record is a cumulative total of 584 caps. That was in the World Cup game against Algeria in 2010. Not an enjoyable game, was it? Not a classic. But some,
I've forgotten it, to be honest with you.
Very forgettable. Some more recent examples in there as well. Under Gareth Southgate, you know, he did make use of experience as well. But we can now look at how Tuchel could potentially set a new record if he uses all of these experienced players that he's selected. So this team here has a cumulative total of 602 caps. Right. As you can see, so a really experienced group of players. I mean, not all of them are old necessarily. Bellingham, of course, is a young player still, but already has 40 caps. You've got Rashford coming back in, as well as Walker and Henderson. He's got 60 caps. Kane, of course, over the 100 mark. I mean, looking at this team, it's not inconceivable that Tuchel could pick this. I mean, I think maybe Reece James would have something to say about playing at left back, but this does give you an idea of the level of experience that Tuchel has to work with.
Right, that is one side of it, but as you alluded to briefly, there are a number of uncapped players in there as well, and also some with just a handful of caps. So what does that also tell us?
Well, that's the other side of it, isn't it, as you say, and there's been a lot of focus on the experience in Tuchel's group, but there is also a lot of inexperience, a lot of unfamiliar faces, and we found that he could actually field the least experienced team in England's history since the 1966 World Cup. So here are the current least experienced teams, and as you can see, the current record is 47 caps. That was in a game against Wales, a home championship game in 1976. Since then, there's been another game against Wales, that was under Gareth Southgate, in which there were only 54 cumulative caps. But now we'll show you how Tuchel could set a record on this front as well. So this team here, made up of players from his current squad, has a total of only 28 caps. So this is the other end of the scale, isn't it? And we see a lot of these uncapped players, of course. James Trafford, Jarell Quansah, Dan Burn, Miles Lewis Skelly there, all on 0 caps. And then lots of others here in single figures. Gordon, the only one approaching double figures on 9 caps. But yeah, so that gives you an idea of the two sides of this Tuchel squad. So yes, maybe he has played it safe with some of the experienced options he's selected, but he's also got a lot of fresh blood in there as well. Yeah,
that's amazing. So he could field the most experienced 11 ever and the most inexperienced 11 ever at the same time. Now, one of those uncapped players is the Arsenal fullback Miles Lewis Skelly, just 18 years old. He's burst onto the scene with Arsenal. You've been doing some digging into his stats. What have you found?
Yeah, he's one of those 4 uncapped players, isn't he, as you say, and he's had a fantastic season with Arsenal. I mean, he'd never played a senior game until sort of September in this season, but he's made a fantastic impact, and we see his ability to excel in and out of possession with some of these stats here around his Premier League performances this season. So we'll start with his defensive work and his off-the-ball work, and you can see here that in terms of dual success, he is actually second among all Premier League players. His percentage of 70.5% puts him behind only Cameron Burgess of Ipswich, who's up on 71.7%. So Lewis Skelly there ahead of Virgil van Dijk, ahead of John Stones. So really impressive numbers there in terms of his dual success. And we've got another graphic here which shows you another really interesting stat, which is that in his Premier League minutes so far, Miles Lewis Skelly is yet to be dribbled past, according to Opta. So he has the third most minutes played without being dribbled past in the Premier League this season. So Tyrone Mings just ahead of him. Again, Cameron Burgess up there as well. But Miles Lewis-Skelly yet to be dribbled past. Really impressive. And he came through Arsenal's academy as a midfielder. He's very comfortable on the ball as well. I'm sure Tuchel will have noticed that at Arsenal. And we can see that with his pass completion stats, which we have here. Now, these are pass completion stats when opposition players are challenging within 3 metres. So essentially this means passes under pressure. And that's where Lewis-Skelly really excels. You know, he's good at inviting pressure and keeping hold of the ball. And as you can see, his accuracy rate of 93.2% is the highest in the Premier League, ahead of Curtis Jones, of course, who also excels in those tight spaces. So this really tells us how good he is on the ball as well as off the ball. Of course, he's young. He's adapting to a new position as well at left-back, isn't he? But he's the only left-footed left-back in Tuchel's squad, and it'll be fascinating to see if he's given a chance.
I'm not going to lie to you, those stats are pretty much perfect across the board, aren't they, in terms of all the different facets of the game. What's the catch, though?
Well, we have seen rawness from him as well, haven't we? He's had some cards and some slight issues on that front. So in his 26 appearances, he's had 4 yellow cards. He's had 2 red cards as well. Now, of course, one of those red cards against Wolves was rescinded after an appeal, but he was probably lucky not to get another one in the Champions League against PSV when he had to be taken off early by Mikel Arteta. You know, he is maybe a slight bit of over-enthusiasm in some of his challenges, maybe just a slight bit of naivety, but I think that's normal for a player of 18. He is still learning, and that is something Tuchel, of course, will have to bear in mind. He's not the finished product. He's a very young player, so he'll have to be treated with care as well.
He will. I mean, what you could say is that, say, with someone like Wayne Rooney, you also don't want to take that, you know, aggressive element away. It's just about treading a fine line.
That's it. It's about knowing the fine margins that exist in top level football, isn't it? But yeah, you don't want to take his edge away. It's a part of his game, as you say.